Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cartoon Boom. This is a show where regular Saturday morning sun pops on the floor with big little sugary cereal and watch all your favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm a robot. I'm not Chris. I'm just wearing his face. I've been that way the whole time, and you just now figured it out, didn't you? Oh, wait, you wouldn't have figured it out. I told you. Whoops. Well, cat's out of the bag now.
Are you one of those emo bots? Or was that just when we were in high school? We were emo bots.
A little bit of both.
Gotcha. And this morning, we watched Pets United. So, who was this suggested by?
I don't know. I wish I did. I lost that info. I'm really sorry. I feel bad about it.
I wish we knew so that we could curse their names with our fist raised high in the sky.
I'm gonna go on a limb and say you hated this, huh? You didn't have a good time?
Hate is a strong word, but did I like it? No.
Can I surprise you? I didn't have that bad of a time.
Really?
I didn't have that bad of a time, surprisingly.
It just felt like such a slog to me. But we'll get into it.
Yeah.
So, okay. And I think I know part of the reason why, but we'll break it down.
Sure.
So the movie Pets United aired in 2019 on Netflix, based on Animals United by Oliver Huxley and Reinhard Klus, and also Die Konferenz der Tiere by Eric Kastner, which is a German thing that I completely said wrong. Written and directed by Reinhard Klus, produced by Joy Hill Media and Culture, Screencraft Entertainment, Timeless Films, Eurocino Entertainment GmbH, China Film Group, Fish Blowing Bubbles, I guess just a literal fish blowing bubbles, and then Play Art Pictures.
I like that.
Yeah. This was produced by a UK company, a Chinese company, and a German company simultaneously. So if it felt like it was a little bit of a mess, that's probably why.
That might be a little bit.
All these different cultures working together to try to make a single film, a cohesive film. It just, I don't know, felt like something was lost in translation.
Yeah.
So for a short synopsis, a group of spoiled, selfish pets led by glamour cat Belle are stranded in their luxury hangout, Pampered Pets, Pamper Pets is what it's called. Then, when the machines that run Robo City, the hyper-modern metroplex that they live in, go wild and take over. Does it sound like there's a lot? Even by the description, you can tell there's so much happening in this movie.
There is a lot. So much happens in this film. It's like, it starts out with like just such a weird premise of like, it's kind of futuristic, and this takes place in a world where robots are around in everyday life doing lots of the menial tasks like cleaning the house, working the desk jobs, serving food, and
being
then you're
police officers.
Yeah, being like police officers and working for the pound, catching the strays, things like that. And the mayor himself employs nothing but robots also and is evil. Wow.
In a very Wall-E like fashion, you've got all these robots doing human tasks that the humans can essentially relax. I mean, I guess they still have jobs, the humans, but we don't see them doing much.
Yeah, because like Belle's owner seems like either a photographer or a model or something like that. Something in like the fashion-y kind of world or something.
Yeah, and that's really the only human we get to know much about throughout. And even then, it's just a brief glimpse into her life, which is fine. It's an animal movie, but it's like, at first I didn't even know humans were in this world. I thought it was a robot world where they just had pets. Until she showed up.
Yeah. You don't see humans for the first several minutes of the film. That's for sure.
So who were some of the actors who played in this film?
Well, this won't be too hard. I'm going to go through it, and most of these actors are people that we're not familiar with, but there will be a couple that we are. So the voice of Roger was provided by Patrick Roche. The voice of Belle was provided by Natalie Dormer, who that is definitely someone that if you are any part of pop culture, you would recognize her face from Game of Thrones, Penny Dreadful, City of Angels, The Tudors, Catching Fire. You've seen Natalie Dormer somewhere before. Sheriff Bill and Brian Longfinger were voiced by Ian Ottle. Bob was voiced by Felix Auer. Ronaldo, voiced by Jeff Burrell. Sophie, voiced by Marty Sander. Walter, voiced by Harvey Friedman. Slow-Mo and Beezer, voiced by Brian Larkin. And then finally, the mayor and Frank Stone, voiced by Eddie Marsan. who this is someone also that you may recognize. He was in the movie that concluded the Coronado trilogy by Edgar Wright. Was it End of the World, I believe or World's End was the name of that one. And then in the series of Sherlock Holmes movies that star Robert Downey Jr., he plays Inspector Lestrade. So that's your main cast.
Right on. So here's a few tasty marshmallows out of our big bowl of Pets United cereal. The 7th theatrically released animated film to be scored by, and this is going to be important because it actually ties into something we just reviewed. This is the 7th theatrically released animated film to be scored by David Newman after Brave Little Toaster, DuckTales the movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, Rover Dangerfield, Anastasia, Ice Age, and Animals United. So yeah, the guy who scored this movie actually scored Brave Little Toaster, which I thought was cool.
That's interesting. I gotta tell you, like, I'm really excited to someday do Anastasia, because that movie's fantastic if you've never seen it. Have you ever seen Anastasia?
I haven't seen that since I was a kid.
Yeah, it's good. It really holds up. I think it's like the best non-Disney movie.
Rover Dangerfield, I actually heard about very recently. Someone really wants to put that on the list if it's not on there already.
It is. It's already on there. So that's one I'm not too excited about. But
wonderful.
It is what it is.
Okay, so Pets United earned $4,440,894 at the global box office. It got mostly negative reviews from critics and audiences. It currently has a 3.8 score on IMDb.
Yeah. Rotten Tomatoes, it's sitting at an 11.
Out of 100?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
11%, wow. So.
Woo!
There you go.
That's really it. I don't have many more marshmallows for this because there's not a lot on it.
Not much to say
Wikipedia didn't have much. It was just like the basic information. IMDb only had a single trivia thing. So I guess people just there's not much more to this movie other than, like I said, it was produced by UK, China, and German company. So it's
This was a movie. This was made.
It's a hodgepodge of ideas. It was a movie that was made.
It has pets. It has robots. It is complete. End of article.
It's a pets movie, and you might get it confused for other pet movies, but it's not those.
Right. It's not those. It's not those ones. If you love pets and really, really want to get a new pet for yourself, but your parents or your significant other said, no pets for you, or at least no more pets, so that you've got some extra money just laying around, not doing nothing. You're staring at your money. It's not entertaining you. You can use that money. You can head over to nerdsloth.com and check out the merch store where we have new items available for the month of March, including the long-awaited Saw Boss #1 boss design, available for shirts, hoodies, mugs, notebooks, you name it. We put Saw Boss on it, as well as our sticker of the month featuring Seymour the Sloth on their very own Nerd Sloth Inscription-inspired playing card from one of me and Joseph's favorite games of the past year, Inscription. We worked really hard on these designs, so we hope that you enjoy them, and the money earned goes right back into funding all the shows that you love to listen to, just like this one. And don't forget, you can also support us by becoming a Treehouse member and joining the Patreon over at patreon.com/nerdsloth. The basic $1 membership gets you lots of extras and adds you to an exclusive channel in our Discord, where we often preview and solicit feedback about our shows, art, and merch before they go live, which just happened earlier today, actually. I showed off something upcoming to some of the people in that specific channel. So there you go. And the $5 Twig level membership gets you access to even more, including bonus episodes of Cartoon Boom at the end of each month. In January, we watched and reviewed Korgoth the Barbarian, and last month it was Bubsy. Both vastly different cartoons with vastly different outcomes and opinion to those two. Yeah. Also, if you could do me a solid, head over to our podcast friends at Super Bracket Bros, and you'll be able to hear me as a guest in their latest episode as we talk about who would win in a fight, Ash and Bob from Overwatch or Juliana Blake from Deathloop. It's a great time whether you care about the outcome or not. So definitely go over there and give them a listen.
So let's go ahead and just talk about this movie. Let's jump into it. Let's
Are you sure you
break
want
it
to?
down.
I'm not so sure you want to talk about it. I'm not so sure.
I do want to talk about it. I just know that we have conflicting opinions here, and I'm actually surprised by that because you don't like a lot of things. So the fact that you tolerated this,
I'm surprised by it too.
Yeah, like the title says, it starts in a futuristic city run by robots, essentially. It's literally called Robo City. We meet our main character, who is a blue heeler mixed dog named Roger. He's kind of the bandit, the Robin Hood here, because he's a literal dog, but he's stealing other food for these other stray pets that are left behind. Well, I say pets. One of them is a proboscis monkey that looks like a man dressed up as a monkey. It does not look like a monkey.
I didn't know what he was supposed to be. This whole movie, I was like, what is this creature? So you're talking about Beezer, right?
Yeah, Beezer.
The whole time, I'm like, is he supposed to be like a little mini Bigfoot thing? Is he a cryptid? What is this?
No, look up proboscis monkey and you'll see what he's supposed to be. But he doesn't have like the features of a monkey. His face looks very human.
That looks nothing like... The only thing that looks similar is the nose.
Yeah.
That's it. Otherwise, it was just, he's a cryptid. That's all it is. This is wrong.
Because he was just, it looked like just a man laying in the alley in like a Bigfoot suit with all these stray pets.
With a tail, too.
Roger's bringing him food also.
At first, when we first just see his face, I thought maybe, I was like, oh, it's like a little alley for strays, and that also includes the homeless. But then I see he's all furry, and I'm like, oh, it's like a cryptid-y dude. It's like a little Bigfoot. It's a Littlefoot, not the dinosaur, but oh, that's weird.
He's a monkey.
That was a very poor design. That was a really bad design.
Yeah. So okay. So yeah, he's bringing all this food to these stray pets. He's stealing things from stores at night. There's this sheriff of
Sheriff Bill.
Yeah, Sheriff Bill is the picking up stray animals. That's his job, but he's doing so unsuccessfully. Roger is his primary target. And we see Roger sneak into these luxury apartments, and he encounters Belle, who is this fancy cat sleeping in her little bed, and he's stealing food from the fridge. At this point, I didn't know humans were in this movie, so I was like, why is there food in the fridge? Is this just for this cat? And then we see a human come home like during their scuffle. So, yeah, that is what introduces us to two of our main characters there, Belle, the Siamese cat, and Roger, the blue heeler.
So I don't want to gloss over, because this is important, I don't want to gloss over how Roger managed to sneak into the luxury apartments, which was, he sees that there's a robot working the front desk who's always cleaning stuff, and every time we see this robot, he's always cleaning, he's vacuuming. So Roger goes and takes a big deuce. He takes a big, huge deuce right in front of the front doors, the glass doors, and then hides. So that when the robot comes out and he's trying to vacuum this deuce up, he just sneaks in. And it was so funny to me that this cartoon, I don't think I've ever seen a children's cartoon just put a big pile of crap anywhere. And there's just this big coil, this big turd coil. Right in the middle of this cartoon.
Well, I think it's supposed to be like funny to kids of this generation because it's a poop emoji.
Yeah, it looks
basically.
like the emoji.
It's that exact same thing. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure it got a laugh out of a lot of people. I thought it was very weird that it was in there at all.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay, well it wasn't made in America, so I guess it makes sense that they're looser on those kind of things.
Yeah, I found it really weird. It was super strange to me, but like. Strange in that this is so ridiculous, like I couldn't help but laugh kind of way.
Yeah.
I liked that. He gets in a little bit of a scuffle with the cat upstairs with Belle. Doesn't get any food out of it. And that's when we also see that Belle does have an owner who comes home and, scares the dog out of there. Then Roger goes to a supermarket that a door is left cracked. He gets in through this back door, does a little shopping. Even though Bill does try to catch him, doesn't work. And that's where we see he goes back to that alley and he's like leaving food for all of the other strays that are in there so that when they wake up, they've got some food. And it's kind of that moment that's endearing us to this character and letting us know, he's not just a thief for thief's sake. He's not greedy. He is a Robin Hood archetype character.
Mm-hmm. We see sort of a preview of what's to come so the woman who owns Belle's owner is they're in their apartment. They see a spider. They have this fix-it robot get rid of the spider because it's sort of foreshadowing that Belle is very frightened of spiders at this point. That'll come back much later in a small way, sort of, but it's something to remember, something to keep in mind. Mm-hmm. We then see this like Pamper Pets store that Belle's owner takes her to. Not store, I guess it's like a spa sort of.
It's like a day spa, like boarding. I don't know. Yeah, it's like a boarding place / spa for pets.
Right, for fancy pets, for rich people, basically, and. We meet a few of our other like ancillary characters here too. Ronaldo, who's this very strong black poodle who has like abs.
Ronaldo's my favorite.
You're seeing that those pop out a lot. Like it'll zoom in and then pop out these little abs under his fur, and then you've got
Sophie, the pig.
Sophie, who is the pig. Walter, who is the pug. Walter's the pug who's scared of everything. He's your frightened character.
Yeah.
And then Belle is also in there, and a few other characters, like a little hamster's in there too. That isn't really. I think maybe a guinea pig. I'm not sure what she's supposed to be, but she's not. She doesn't say anything at this point. She just like makes little whistle noises.
I think her name's Tiger.
So you don't think she can speak?
And
Tiger.
You got. I think it's Chi-Chi is the Chihuahua who's constantly talking about like getting work done, like as if she's getting plastic surgery.
Yeah.
And then also you get what is it? Slow-Mo, who's a little red panda.
Oh, Slow-Mo. Yes.
Who's adorable looking and
but very lazy.
Super lazy. Yeah.
Doesn't care about staying in shape. No. He just like is obsessed with like slushies or what are they called? Just I just name is completely slipping my mind. the shakes. I guess shakes he's obsessed with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we then see like an announcement on basically a citywide announcement on this giant billboard that is Frank Stone, the mayor, speaking. Who's basically, he looks like H.P. Lovecraft. Like if Howard Lovecraft grew up and turned into this guy, like that's kind of like who he looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
He's talking about how today is a very special day, and that is giving Roger flashbacks about his birthday and his owner, who we're not seeing the face of, but we at that point can kind of already tie together what is going on behind the scenes. And the mayor saying to the whole city, like, enjoy this day. And then I guess he turns off the intercom and then he's just like, while you can. So it's like, okay, this dude's evil.
Evil.
Yeah. And you see all his robot minions preparing for something that we're not sure what it is yet.
Exactly. The next time Roger's in the alley, he meets a little robot named Bob. Turns out Bob was a robot pet. He was a robot that was designed to be a pet, like a little companion kind of pet for humans.
Mm-hmm. He was an emo bot.
And it got scrapped. Like the whole idea got scrapped, but he's still around. And he's super friendly. He's probably the cutest character in the whole movie, I think. He wants to be everybody's friend, like forever, which he keeps saying. We're gonna be best friends forever. Bob's just a lot of fun. Roger's a little standoffish to him at first because Roger does not like robots. Roger also doesn't like pets. This is one of the things I do appreciate about this is that there is a little bit of depth that does get revealed about some of these characters as it goes on, which I think is why I did enjoy this movie more than what I thought I would, at least. Evil Mayor basically has his robots start taking over and releases this one it was supposed to be like a Ferris wheel or something, and then it turns into a big old spider bot and just starts destroying everything. And that causes all this mayhem, and some of the pets' owners basically go missing. And so they get left behind at the Pampered Pets thing. Right before that happens, though, Sheriff Bill is finally almost caught Roger, and then Bob pretends to be a dog walker bot and puts Roger on a leash, which Roger's not happy about, and then leads him into that Pamper Pets to escape from Bill. that's when all the robot stuff starts going crazy. And the owners, at least a lot of the owners of these pets, don't come back. And then it's the pets trying to figure out what to do and what's happening.
Because the mayor is essentially like, okay, humans, you have an hour to get your things and get out of town, or you'll be eradicated, essentially, because you're inferior to my robots. Mm-hmm. So they just have to like get up and leave. And a lot of them are just caught in traffic or whatever and can't come get their pets. So yeah, they're left alone. The adventure ensues between all of these pampered pets and then Roger, who's this like, street dog who's trying to kind of take over as de facto leader against their better judgment or against their wishes.
Yeah. What did you think about, so when the pets first come out of the pampered pets place and so our group makes up, it's Roger and then Belle. And then we've got the pug, Walter. We've got Sophie the pig. We've got Ronaldo, and I think that's it. Oh, and we've got Bob, a little robot. That makes up our core group. Everyone else's owners came for them. But what did you think when they came out? Spider-Bot is right there, ready to annihilate them, and Slow-Mo just like walks up and is just has the expression like, "Just kill me instead." And to our knowledge, he totally does. It just smashes them. And then the robot's like satisfied and leaves.
Yeah, at that point, I was like, they don't show his body, so maybe he's not dead, but they really lead you to believe that he is at that point when you see that thing just fall on him and that crack in the cement. And everyone thinks he's dead. There's like, all right, well, we have to move on. We got to keep going because I guess... what's his face? Ronaldo was standing up to the spider, and then Slow-Mo just comes out to distract him, and then gets killed. And we're just like, okay, well, moving on. And I just thought that was such a strange scene because the impact of what that should have had. I don't even think Slow-Mo said anything. He was just there,
no,
and then looking at him, and then got crushed. And it's like, oh, well, that was kind of anticlimactic. All right,
yeah. It didn't make any sense, really. So that was super, super weird. From there, so their plan of action is for them to get back to Belle's owner's apartment because she's like, well, my owner's got to be there. We'll be safe there. And they're like, well, to get there, let's cut through the zoo and we can make it there. So that's what they decide to do is cut through the zoo. And then they run into some of the animals there. I don't remember why these animals aren't in their cages. Did they say?
They didn't really say. Like, I guess just chaos has ensued all over. So the animals are out of their cages and just hanging out. They run into a hyena that tries to fight, and then Bob knocks him out. They run into a Komodo dragon named Edgar who has very smelly breath. So Belle tells him that he needs a salad, diet, and peppermint. And he's trying to remember peppermint, but he can't say that word. So he's just like, she distracts him and he just walks off. And then Asgar, the tiger, who is like, comes out, and this is where Beezer comes in on occasion, or Beezle, I can't remember what his name was, the proboscis monkey. And and Asgar, he makes fun of his nose, so Beezer beats him up. So that's how they get rid of the tiger at first. Then we see like a scene of like the tiger, hyena, and Komodo dragon getting together and then rapping.
They start rapping
for some reason.
About being beasts and how bad they are.
About how they're clever and smart and bad and scary or whatever. And it's like, well,
yeah.
Why? Why is this here?
Why not, man? Why wouldn't you? If you've got... Let me tell you something. If I ever find myself in a situation where I'm locked in a room with a tiger, a hyena, and a Komodo dragon, if they don't break out into rap, I've done something wrong in my life, And it's not worth living anymore. I would let them feast on me at that point.
It just feels like they were trying to shoehorn in a musical portion of this, but that was all they could think of, and that's really the only one we get aside from the very end. And it's like, why,
it's not.
Of all the characters,
you're forgetting a couple. You're forgetting some, sir. There's more in there, but I think your brain has tuned it out to protect yourself.
I'm probably blocking them out. So we run into Brian Longfinger, who's a Tossier, who is kind of like a mix between a monkey and a lemur.
Yeah.
And he's a wise mouse, and basically, and
Yes.
he is talking about how the threat is something far greater than Bill, the sheriff, and he's being very obscure about what he's saying.
Gotta be.
And yeah, of course, as a wise man, and talking about how the wetlands were drained, the forests were cleared, rivers dammed, etc. And then Frank Stone, he's kind of giving a lot of like backstory to what's going on and why this is happening, how Frank Stone secluded himself and turned his back on everyone he loved and now is a monster. And then, that Roger knows more than anyone else, or he wants to know and understand what's going on, because Roger, I guess, has lost his memory somewhere along the way after he got lost. And so Brian says, now you need to be their leader through gloomy times to rekindle their light. And so he's just like, I don't know, really, you're crazy, but okay, we're just going to go with this. Like, no one really understands what Brian Longfinger is saying.
Right. We also learned, because the mayor has cameras placed within other robots and other items all throughout the city, that and he's spying on everybody and spying on them in particular. But, and at first I'm like, well, why does he care about these pets? But it's actually that it's Bob that he's after. He's fixated on Bob. And that is kind of the reason why he ends up spying on this group of the animals, is because of that.
Bob's with them.
Yeah, because Bob is with them. So they finally do then get into Belle's owner's apartment. The owner, of course, is not there. So everyone's feeling kind of sad, all that kind of stuff. That's where we finally get a little bit of that revelation from Roger as he's trying to comfort Belle, and he's explaining, because she's just feeling like, you're trying to comfort me, but you can't empathize with where I've been. But he's explaining, no, I can, because, I have lost something in the past. He used to have an owner. He was a pet. And then on a walk one day, his leash came off and he got lost in a big crowd. And then he never found his owner again. And he's been astray ever since. So we get a little bit of backstory there. And I mean, 2 and 2 putting it together. I mean, we know that it's Frank Stone. Like, I mean, that's pretty obvious pretty quick.
Yeah.
The mayor. Anyway, fix it. The butler bot in that apartment gets taken over, reset into battle mode. Fights ensue. They gotta flee the apartment. And the vacuum bot from the apartment complex is after them also. A bunch of them get on a train to flee, except for Sophie and Walter don't make it. Walter has talked before about how if he could do anything, he wants to be good at skateboarding. Because everyone's seen, the video of the bulldog on the skateboard. He wants to be a pug on a skateboard. They find a skateboard, and then there's just this fun little scene of them on the skateboard going through town, and antics ensue as they thwart the vacuum bot as well as Sheriff Bill going through the city.
And the whole time, like, you've also got the zoo animals, Komodo, hyena, and tiger coming back for revenge.
And another rap song.
The hero pets make it into the mall because Bob lets them in. Like, he has he hacks the door, I guess. And then, they lock the zoo animals out. So then we get a dancing scene, a lot of like them all dancing together. Walter falling in love with Sophie the pig. And then they hit up a candy store, which some of this was like troubling, like bothering me, because at one point with Ronaldo mentioned that his owner made him like chocolate mousse. And I'm like, no, dogs are not supposed to eat chocolate. Why are you saying this?
Oh, boy.
Okay, and so like then there's this fight that I think could have been fun, but it just didn't feel as exciting as I think it should have, where these dinosaur robots come to life because Bob loves dinos, and the Frank, the mayor, has control, can basically like take control of any robots in that they run across. And so he does so to these like dinosaur robots, and they all attack, but it's very, again, and pretty anticlimactic. And I could say that about a lot of the action scenes where they just feel, and maybe it's even like the musical score just doesn't like boost it up much. It's still kind of a pretty timid score throughout. So it doesn't sound exciting and it doesn't really feel exciting. It's just, it happens. They're victorious. But there wasn't
Yeah.
really anything at stake because they were never in any danger.
Well, I feel also that a lot of the animation is just super gentle and not just gentle, but really slow in some of the
Yeah.
action scenes where, it's one character doing something at a time while the other character stands there and waits, then does their thing. And it's animated not super fast, just really run of the mill, like doing a kick isn't any faster than them opening a door, So it's like when it's like that, it's just kind of like the impact of it isn't really felt that much.
Yeah. There's a point like during a later fight where they're having to fight all these mall robots where Sophie kicks one of them into space, and that kick wasn't even any more powerful than any of the other kicks she had done, but it for some reason knocked him all the way into space just so he could fall later in front of the zoo animals and distract them shortly. Like that, that was the gag. Like there was nothing to that. And so they are at this point trying to find out like what they need to do, how they have to. Well, they leave the mall after all these robots have attacked them, and let's see.
Well, Bob is upset that he put them in danger, and Bob also knows that the mayor's after him. He's not after the pets, and he's sort of been keeping that knowledge to himself because he loves his new friends, but he's realizing that he's putting them in peril by just being around them and that they're not safe because of it.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a does not compute moment for Bob, and he has to turn himself in.
Yeah, he sees like I don't think this was Sheriff Bill, but he sees like one of those like dog catcher vehicles go by, and he goes out and gives himself up. And when it happens, Roger's just not accepting it, and he's just like, I'm going to go after Bob. It's my responsibility. I feel like our fates are tied somehow. I don't understand why, because I don't have all my memory, but like I know our fates are intertwined. I have to do this. You guys need to get outside the city. And so he goes to do that and splits the party. And the others, of course, are like, yeah, we're just going to go rescue them both now. Like, that's dumb. We're going to go rescue them. And they run into Brian Longfinger again, who kind of gives them a little bit of advice on where to go and where to look.
Yeah, he's pretty direct this time. He's just like, Bob's in Robo World.
Yeah, he's in Robo World, which is essentially it's a junkyard kind of place. And I gotta say, that place was kind of cool. Like the Jaws thing they did make it pretty scary.
This
for that world.
This was it was a brave little toaster moment.
Yeah, it was.
Basically.
It really was. It was almost like verbatim, like that kind of thing.
Because it had these big like magnet claw things picking up trash and putting it on this conveyor belt.
Yes.
And so we had that same kind of pressure where Bob is put on the conveyor belt. And what I appreciated that they at least magnetized it. So it's like, okay, yeah, it makes sense that Bob couldn't just get off of it. And even though they left him like alive for some reason, I guess it just the mayor's sadistic or something.
There's some weird stuff that happens before that, though, that this is where I don't really quite get why this happened. So when Bob first does turn himself in, well, I guess we do get that reveal that when the mayor pulls his own face off, that it's not actually a human, it's a robot. And then he looks over and you see the real person, the real Frank Stone off to the side. And it's you come to find out Frank Stone's the one that designed all these robots and stuff, designed this robot in particular, kind of in the likeness of himself. And this robot became so sentient and self-obsessed, it has essentially taken over everything, including Frank Stone's own position, and has been running the city and everything else.
Yeah, and has imprisoned Frank.
Yeah, but when Bob gets there as a prisoner, he kind of taunts Bob a little bit. There's a lot of issues that come up here, and this is where I think I have some of the biggest issues with the movie. When he taunts Bob about, like, it makes no sense for a robot to have emotions. But, like, almost every robot in the show has emotions, including the robot saying it doesn't make sense for robots to have emotions. Like, the mayor himself has emotions, especially anger, because he's angry all the time. He laughs all the time, too, at other people's, like, unfortunateness or bad luck and stuff. So I'm like, obviously he's got emotions. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I guess the intention was just to say, like, you're not supposed to care about organic beings.
Yes. That's the thing is, like, they're very much confusing those ideas of Well, he's got emotions. He just has very negative ones.
Yeah.
But then the other thing too is like he has this offhanded mention to this really big robot called Boris about Boris having a soft spot for Bob. And that comes back in a huge way. But there's no lead up to that. There's no reason that we're aware of that Boris would have a soft spot for Bob. So that felt weird, and I don't understand why it happened. He also dismisses Sheriff Bill as a piece of junk and kind of banishes him. And so Sheriff Bill essentially switches sides and starts leading a resistance.
That part does make sense a little bit because throughout the movie, we've seen that Bill's head continues falling off.
That part I'm fine with, yeah.
Yeah, Robo Frank sees him as inferior and puts him in the junkyard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Sheriff Bill starts gathering together other bots that are supposed to be scrapped. Also starts helping the strays, our group of pets. All that stuff, and starts leading a rebellion, all that kind of thing. But I guess the big things I don't understand is I guess it was just misconstruing the idea of emotion for the one. But the big one that stands out is the Boris thing and where it comes back into play later.
Yeah, I see. I guess Boris may have been one of like Human Frank's original creations, maybe in conjunction with Bob at some point. But that's not ever stated, so I'm just kind of guessing.
Oh, and this is the big problem. Boris has a giant impact on what happens towards the end of this story.
Yeah.
But Boris has never been a big part of this film, wasn't even given a name or even mentioned up until this point, and we're not that far from the end. It's like he comes out of nowhere and then all of a sudden is super important. I don't know. It was really bad. It was bad writing in that part.
Yeah, because really, like, if you just took Boris out of it entirely, you could have made that moment when they're in the about to be crushed by the trash compactor, the jaws or whatever, way more meaningful, because then it would have been a heroic moment for the pets and not just Boris pushing a button, To get there, to go rescue Bob, they have to go through the sewer. This was kind of an interesting part. And this falls into the part with the poop in front of the door for me too, because when they pick up the sewer manhole, the manhole cover, they're just like, oh, it stinks. And Brian just like, that's the stench of hell. And this is a path through the underworld. And I was like, geez, they're really not like pulling any punches here.
I love it. Yeah.
And so, yeah, they have to go through the sewer. That's where they run into like the scrap robots, including what's his face? Bill. Yeah. Who is now their ally because, he's been rejected. So he's like, all right, these pets are not our enemies. The true enemy is Robo Frank or whatever. They don't really give him a name, but it's Robo Frank. And that's what takes us to the junkyard where where Bob is strapped to the conveyor belt and he is getting like sent up to the jaws. Roger is just going to sacrifice himself. He's just like, you're my best friend forever and I'm going to stick with you to the end. And he just like lays on the conveyor belt with them. Like, I mean, that would be more meaningful if they hadn't just met today.
Yeah. He's just like, we'll die together. And they do emphasize too that it's only been a day because Bob is just like, it's been a real nice day,
Yeah, this has been the best day. Yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah.
Geez, Roger's really just ready to go.
A lot of characters in this movie are. Slow-mo, he was ready to die. Roger's ready to die. Everyone just wants to die.
Ronaldo nearly sacrifices himself holding up the jaws of the trash compactor.
Well, I like that because it gave everybody, like, this movie does give each of these characters their moment to shine. Sophie got her moment. Walter got his moment. Ronaldo gets his moment here because Ronaldo's so self-absorbed in everything. But these jaws are coming down. It's these real jagged metal teeth, that smash up whatever metal's coming through before it goes into this fire. It's coming down on, it's about to come down on Roger and Bob. And Ronaldo, who is, obsessed with, his looks and looking strong. He's always working out at the little pet spa place. Just jumps in there and he's holding the jaws up and everything. And it's starting to fail a little bit, but he's trying so hard. But the moment almost kind of it feels like it sort of gets taken away because this is what happens. It cuts back to Robo Frank and Boris watching, and then Boris just hits a button and cancels it. And so it all stops. And it just cuts away.
Yeah, meaning like none of that. It was very inconsequential. Yeah.
Yeah, it just cuts away too. So it's not like, Robo Frank is just like, Boris, you betrayed me or anything like that. It's just nothing.
Yeah.
So that didn't make any sense at all. Anyway, it shut everything down.
Yeah. Well, Bell, like, this is what I was talking about with the spider thing being a foreshadow.
Oh, yeah, he shows up after this. They get Bob and Ronaldo and Roger off. The thing starts up again, but then Big Spider Bot shows up. Yeah.
And so Bell runs at the Robo Spider and then stands on the conveyor belt and gets him to try to smash her with his claw, knowing that it's magnetized. So when he puts his claw on there, he is then pulled into the jaw and crushed, which was interesting. But it's like, I feel like that thing would have been strong enough to not, I guess, to like pull himself off of it, since we did see also that the combined strength of Sophie and Walter were able to slow that conveyor belt down by just holding it back. But, that's a whole nother thing.
It is what it is.
But yeah, it is what it is. The spider bot gets crushed, and so Belle has overcome her fear of spiders and also saved the rest of them. That's when they get led inside the facility. Here's where it was like such a quick cut. I feel like there was a lot left out right here, because right after that happens, and they're talking about they're all strays and they're working together, it just cuts. And then Boris, the giant robot, is in the facility, leading them to real Frank. And then the door opens and like Frank and Roger are reunited. And at this point, okay, here's where I'm a little confused. Well, I'm confused about a lot of these things, but and maybe you can help me like figure this out. I didn't think that the pets could speak to the humans. I thought that the pets were just talking to each other. And right here, it feels like he cannot speak to him, that, he's just doing regular dog stuff while Frank is talking to him. But then later, Roger actually asks him like if okay, well, I'll get there, but he talks to him, and then Roger responds to him Frank responds to Roger as if he understands what he said to him. Yeah. So I'm like, can they talk? I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you there. It just happens.
Okay, it just didn't feel like they could, and then suddenly they can, or suddenly they just did at the last second. I don't know.
Yeah, this is where the main threat gets ended, and this comes really quick, and this feels very anticlimactic, where now with Frank in tow, they go into, this room where Robo Frank is building more robots. Boris just goes up behind him, grabs him, holds him still, and Frank says something quippy. Bob reaches up and just pulls something out of him and tosses it away, and that's it. He's done.
Yeah, Bob like takes out his CPU, and then he's just scrapped, but then he gets turned into, his parts get turned into different robots. I almost thought there was going to be like a second boss phase when his chip gets thrown into the scrap pile. I was like, oh, it's all going to form together and make a new, stronger robot. But no, it's just trash.
That's what I was expecting, because it fell in this big pile of parts. But no, nothing happens.
Yeah, it's just literal trash.
We're just like, so, I guess that is it. All right.
Yep. So Robo Frank gets taken out very quickly.
With no resistance. He doesn't fight it at all. He's also ready to die.
No, yeah, he just accepts it. He's like, oh, okay, I see how it is. And then Bob pulls his chip out, and that's it. And then, so they lead up to this wall with a door that Brian Longfinger had been telling them about before that has like paradise on the other side of it. And this is after, they've been reunited with Frank. He leads them to this door, opens it, and it's like nature's out there. So they're just used to being trapped in this walled city. Yeah. And they've never seen nature, so this is all of them getting to experience that. Slow-mo comes back out of nowhere. It's like, hey, what's up, guys? I've just been exploring out here.
Oh, he doesn't just come back. He comes back Sonic the Hedgehog style.
Oh, yeah. He speeds up there.
You just hear the noise, like, and you see this dust coming at you. I'm like, did they put Sonic in this movie? What is this?
That would have made it better. I wish they had.
He just comes up and he's like, you're too slow, and then keeps running, and they're just like, that's nature.
But it has to be the reject Sonic that had the really human teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he zips up there. I didn't know red pandas were known for their speed, but whatever. And so he zips up, and then he tells them like, oh yeah, I've just been exploring out here. There's things out here you wouldn't imagine. It's like just to bring him back and let everybody know he didn't die. He has no other like part in the movie. That's all. He just wanted to tell him he's still alive. That's when Roger asked Frank, he's like, is this another happier world? And Frank responds, yes, Roger, another happier world. So it's like, oh, they're speaking. That brings up a whole nother set of issues because there's a zoo with animals that people can talk to and understand. And that is very problematic if they can actually speak. So that brings up a whole nother issue.
Now I'm just picturing like people go to the zoo in this world and the animals themselves are singing a Sarah McLachlan song. And they're doing it themselves.
Trying to get their own donations, yeah.
Anyway, it all ends with like pretty much every character we've met along the way is at Belle's owner's apartment, having a good time meeting and talking and, just resolving any feelings and such for each other. And then we get a real pointless song and dance that I immensely disliked more than any of the other ones that we had.
Yeah, that's where Tiger, the guinea pig who hadn't spoken until just now, starts singing. And it's basically a montage of resolution for the other characters as she's singing this song.
Yeah.
We get to see Roger and Belle, who I guess are now in love with each other. I don't know. They touch hands. It's a weird thing. We see the Komodo dragon finally find some peppermints. That's resolution to his story. Yeah, it's just kind of wrap stuff up.
I did like the Walter and Sophie thing where Walter just realized for the first time that Sophie's a pug or that Sophie's
a pig.
Sophie's a pig and not a pug. And the whole time he thought she was just a bigger pug. I thought that was pretty good.
They kept trying to sneak in like messages here and there because right after he says that, she's just like, nobody and nothing is perfect. And then he's like, all right. I mean, that didn't belong there. It's just like they were trying to put in quotes just to like inspirational quotes that didn't belong in these segments.
I like the idea though that Walter is catching on to that and he's not unsure what she's trying to say. She's like, nothing's perfect. And he's like, okay, whatever. Thanks.
I wish that he had responded like that. That would have made it funnier.
Oh, it would have been great. That's the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's it. Well, Chris, looks like it's about time we send our inner kids to Robot City to help rescue all the animals from Robo Frank and maybe ask Ronaldo for some workout tips. Then see what they thought of Pets United.
This movie looked like a low-budget Secret Life of Pets. And it was, but it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. Now, where did I put my skateboard? I've got some ideas for the neighbor's pug.
Oh boy, this movie was so dull. The characters all felt pretty basic, the story really dragged, and the action scenes just didn't feel exciting. But if you were ever curious to see a pug awkwardly fall in love with a pig, then this is probably, hopefully, the only chance you'll get. If I had to choose between this or bedtime, I'd choose bed.
That'll do, pig. That'll do. So I kind of want to ask you first, because I feel like it's going to be fewer and far between. What were some of the things you liked about this movie?
Okay. I mean, it wasn't trash. It wasn't, even if I would have led you to believe that, it wasn't all bad. So the animation was actually, it was okay. Like, it wasn't great by any means. But the characters looked pretty good when they were standing still. It's when they started moving, like you were talking about earlier, that it was kind of like slow motion. I'm assuming it was a pretty limited budget as far as that goes, so I get it. But it didn't look like bad at all, the animation. Right. It's just like, it was just slow paced. Except for Beazle that we talked about earlier, who I'm still convinced was just a man posing as a monkey.
Yeah, that was bad.
And then I think the idea of the plot was decent. I don't think the execution was great, but I think they'd strung together all these random ideas. Or if they just kept it as an animated short, then I think they could have made a really interesting movie. But it seems like they might have just been trying to put too much together and make it all like, and without properly tying it all together. And that's kind of where it fell a little short for me plot-wise. But I think the idea of the plot was pretty cool.
Okay, yeah. I will stand with you there. Overall, like I said before, I actually had a pretty fun time. I think that the plot had a lot of flaws. It definitely needed to be streamlined. there was a central idea, and I think the central idea was pretty good, but they strayed from it a lot and would kind of go down these little avenues here and there. Almost like when you're playing a game and you never feel like you're going to get to the end because you keep doing these little side quests and stuff that don't actually have anything to do with the main storyline. It's like someone trying to make a movie of that, of putting some of these side quests in there when there is a main story to be followed and you're trying to do that in a short amount of time. So there are times that it feels like it's chaos and there's too much going on. And it feels like there's a lot of things that don't need to be in there because of that. And sometimes things feel rushed. And there's other times things really feel like they're dragging or lagging because they've delved into something that just didn't really make sense for the main story. And that's what you want to get back to. So then you start losing interest. I was going to say the part that I found myself definitely, I was honestly pretty engaged in the film up till probably the 50-minute mark. And that's when they made it to the mall and they started doing just the dance number and hanging out and doing stuff like that. And it's because it wasn't following anything anymore at that point. They'd come off of something that was kind of fun. And then they weren't getting back on task to the main story, which I think is what they needed to do. That was the first time I started going, okay, well, I'm gonna check the time and see where we're at. So
yeah, the pacing of this felt very erratic. Like sometimes they would just hang on a scene for an unnecessary amount of time, and other times they just jump to another scene without any kind of segue. And that was happening all throughout the movie. Honestly, I found myself checking it after about 20 minutes. So I could already tell this was going to end up feeling longer than it actually was. Because it was really, taking the credits out of it, is probably like only an hour and 20 minutes long, hour 21 maybe.
Yeah.
And so that's not that long for a movie, but it just felt like it really dragged, especially kind of towards the middle to end part.
I did enjoy the characters quite a bit, most of them. I think that these characters fit an archetype. I mean, these were straight up archetypes out of anything else. You've got like your Robin Hood scoundrel kind of guy, your riff raff street rat, that guy. You've got your fancy female character that's used to being pampered, who learns, what the real world is like outside of their doors. You've got the scaredy cat guy in Walter. You've got the self-absorbed pretty boy in Ronaldo. You've got a lot of those characters. You have sort of the motherly sort of figure who's also kind of plays the sassy character also in Sophia. So you're playing with a lot of characters. Aside maybe from Sophia, though, a lot of these characters got quite a bit of development, I felt, that I liked. Maybe not as much Belle either. I mean, she did get development, but not on as deep a level as some of the others. I really enjoyed the journey that Roger went on, and Bob and Ronaldo and Walter especially was super fun to me. So just like those personalities were great. I did like Belle's personality again as well, but seeing some of their growth was fun. And then there was also a lot of characters I definitely could have done without, a lot of these tertiary characters. But that is what it is.
So the last complaint thing that I will state is I am all for love being love, but seeing Roger and Belle fall for each other felt kind of uncomfortable to me.
A dog and a cat?
It was like, is this the prequel to Cat Dog? I don't know. Like,
oh, maybe it is.
So I feel, okay, so the problem is, like, seriously, like, just let animals and human characters, for that matter, gain a mutual respect for each other without trying to shoehorn in an unnecessary romance. You know what I mean? Because that's what it felt like. Like, they did not need to fall in love at all. Like, it could have just been like, hey, this cat and this dog get along now. They respect each other. And that would have been great and more powerful for Belle's character than to make her just fall for Roger, the dog. Because then it kind of really, like you said, she didn't get that much character development as is. So just to make her like, oh, now I'm, swooning over this dog Roger, it's like, that's weird. Come on, why force her on into that role?
No, I can agree with that too, because she had a different avenue to grow with, and that growth doesn't need to be dictated by a male character just because she's a female character. I agree with that very much so. I do have dislikes about this film, though. Like, I don't get me wrong. There's a lot of problems with this film, and there's some real glaring ones. I talked about quite a few of them as we were going, though. Like, the mayor robot thing was just completely contradictory. Just the motivation of that character was 100% contradictory and didn't make sense to me. And his end was so anticlimactic and felt so rushed. And I want to say this is I think that there's so much stuff towards the beginning and about the mid to 3/4 point of this film that could have been cut, and then more time could have been spent in the climax of the film to make this film better and give us a better payoff in the end, to make this feel earned rather than like it just fizzled out really fast. I think that would have fixed the pacing issues. I think it would have fixed a lot of the writing issues as well.
I agree. I think all the pieces were there for a really interesting film, but I just don't think they were put together properly.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. And some of those pieces that shouldn't have been there was like, we point out there's these random songs that literally feel like they came out of nowhere, like they felt unprompted. The very first song didn't show up till like we were like 30 minutes in. So it's not like they had given the expectation that this is going to be like Disney or Pixar where we're going to have a song every 15 minutes, like some of those films. We're like a good third of the way through the movie, and then all of a sudden a song comes up, and we're like, wait, what? Where? Why?
From secondary characters, like
Yes.
characters that have like a very small role in this movie, they get the song, and that's a recurring thing. It happens twice.
Exactly. Two more issues I did have, and then I'm going to stop ragging on it. I loved Bob. He was one of my favorite characters of this film, for sure. But he's a straight ripoff of 1-1 from Infinity Train, the good half. Sounds like him, acts like him. If you were to compress Bob into a smaller form, looks like him. He's 1-1, basically. So as much as, and I love 1-1 from Infinity Train, but I'm like, man, it's just so similar to me. There's no way that they didn't see Infinity Train. They're like, oh, we can do something like that. We'll just make him bigger, give him arms, instead of making him a ball, and we'll give him the exact same personality, but it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's a different thing. So the last thing, I noticed this immediately, and it lasted with me through the whole movie. This rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. Roger's voice was so much louder than everything else and was not mastered with the rest of the audio. It did not fit the rest of the audio of this movie in any shape or form, in any single scene. His voice was always louder than everything else going on, which makes me think, it makes me wonder if he was not the original voice of Roger, that they completed the film, and I wonder then if they ended up saying, well, we need somebody else, and they did not remaster it correctly. I don't know that that's the case. I could be 100% wrong. I likely am wrong, but it's what it sounds like when you listen to it.
Well, they just needed you to know that he was the protagonist. He was the star.
Right. And this is something I wouldn't harp on that much, or at least probably wouldn't have done years ago. But after having worked in audio, especially a lot more closely these days, it was so blatantly obvious that this was not mastered right. And if someone like I can pick that out in a feature film, like, you did something really wrong. You could have paid any more level of attention to your product. Anyway,
Yeah.
there it is.
I don't know. So what would you give this movie? I need to hear what your final score is going to be for it.
Okay. Make sure that your shoes are tied, that you're sitting with your feet flat on the ground, and you're gripping whatever chair you're in.
I have laced myself to my chair
Okay,
with
good.
my shoelaces,
Good.
go ahead.
I enjoyed it a lot more than I imagined I would, for sure. It impressed me in that I had set this bar somewhat low, because when I first saw the title of it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw trailers for this in the theater. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh no, I was thinking The Secret Life of Pets. This is something I've definitely never heard of, and looks like it could be a ripoff of that film, and might very well be. So bar was set low, but it exceeded my expectations, even with that bar set low. Not to say that it doesn't have flaws, because it has a lot of flaws. I just pointed out tons of them. I think I even pointed out more flaws than you did, and I obviously like the movie more. But I was able to find something enjoyable in this movie still in the overall film, and I had a good time. I had a smile on my face watching most of it. And I think that it's well suited for kids. I think most parents would be okay watching it along with them, even if it's just kind of in the background, if that's how you got to do it. In all honesty, I gave this film 3 bowls of poorly timed animal rap song cereal out of 5.
I was worried you were going to give it like a 4+, and then I would have had questions. But
sorry, did I say 3? I meant 5.
Sense.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, you didn't. Take it back. So while this isn't the worst animated movie I've ever seen, we've seen much worse, even on this show, much worse. Either visually or plot-wise, it was fine. It felt like it suffered from having too many hands in the pot or trying to string together too many different ideas simultaneously, and then tried to make it fun for kids by throwing in random moments of absurdity that had nothing to do with the story. Like, why did this pig kick this robot into space? We have nothing has led us to thinking that could possibly happen, but it happened. So overall, I'd give Pets United 2 big bowls of salad diet and peppermint cereal out of 5. And unless you find this in a bargain bin somewhere, I mean, it's on Netflix, so maybe show a kid. A kid might like it just because they're not going to be as critical as we are. But there are better movies out there with pets involved, including the ones that this is a ripoff of, Secret Life of Pets.
Have you noticed that, I feel like when a movie is obviously for kids and it involves robots, have you noticed the robots always seem to be much more round in design?
Yeah, they're not angular robots. They are very smooth.
They're smooth and they're usually built around, the literal circle designs, like the head, the body, the shoulders are always circular. I wonder why that is. I mean, it might just be a visual processing thing that it's easier for children to process those things, but it's just an observation that I've noticed lately with some of the things that we've seen, and just this one had that a lot. So I was just kind of thinking about it.
Well, I would say that the smoother edges would make it seem more gentle. So heroic robots, I could get it, but then the Robo Frank was also pretty smooth. So I was like, well, even the villain was smooth in this one. Yep. He should have been so angular, but he wasn't. So I don't know. And why do all the cutest robots look like trash cans? Is a trash can just a cute shape that people decided on? Let's make a little cylinder trash can and give it a voice. Now it's a cute robot.
Robots are trash.
Cute robots are trash. The cutest robots.
The cutest robots are trash. We have 2 new 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts from Seth Cano and Panbrand 2022. Thank you both for those reviews. There are mentions of cartoons they'd like to see covered in both those reviews, but as we mentioned last week, we are closing off the list since it is past 400 now, and we want to really try to start hitting a lot of these that have been on there for some time, some of them for several years. If they are already on the list, we will get to them. If not, then we will open that list up again at some point in the future, but we will let you know when that happens. And when it does eventually happen, we'll likely only be taking 1 request per listener to keep things as fair as possible. Now, Seth asked about Road Rovers, which I believe is already on the list. So I believe you're good there. Panbrand listed several animes that unfortunately we're not going to get to them for a while since we've got so many other things on the list. But never say never. We'll get there someday, but we've just got a lot to work through right now. The list can still be seen over at nerdsloth.com under the Cartoon Boom page if you're wondering where your current picks rank. So just go to nerdsloth.com, go to podcasts and Cartoon Boom. There is a link there to take you straight to the ranker page where you can still see where everything is and vote up or down on which ones you'd like us to do.
And people can still vote up or down rankings, correct?
Yeah,
On that list? Okay.
you can still
So
vote for them.
there is still
We're just not adding
there is
new
still
ones.
power to do something on the list. Yeah, we're just not accepting any new additions because it is so long right now. We want to get through these things as much as we can, especially the ones that have been on there forever. So thank you, random person in the void who suggested this. Sorry that we did not write down your name, but hopefully you still hear this.
Yep, really sorry about that. I try so hard to keep track of this, but I want to be honest, I'm trying to keep track of like 400 something requests, and every once in a while, I think I've lost the information 3 or 4 times out of like the 200 plus episodes we've done. So I feel like it's a pretty good track record, but I do feel guilty for losing it. So I'm very sorry if you do identify yourself in some way. I would love to thank you on another episode and give you credit for it. So if you hear this, let it be known, and I shall share your beautiful name.
Well, listeners, looks like our milk supply is now run dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. And next week, we'll be watching
Tasmania, suggested via email by Travis Wirtz.
He put the Taz in Tasmania, something Tasmania, here comes Tasmania. We mean you. I remember that song.
Great.
I used to watch that show.
I knew of it. I didn't really watch it that much, but I know of it.
I don't know if it'll hold up, but I remember Taz's parents. I remember Didgeridingo, Wendell T. Wolf, Francis S. Bushlad.
Wow, you have
that's all.
way surpassed anything I know about this.
I'm just saying, like, a lot of that is in the song, so those names have stuck with me forever.
That's insane.
Yeah. Once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm actually Chris. I'm not a robot. I was totally kidding earlier. Don't at me.
Oh.
Don't at me.
I was about to pull out your CPU and throw it in the trash.
No!
Well, we'll see you next Saturday.
Presented by Nerdsloth.
A place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.